Hello, and welcome back to YouTube.com. Or if you're here for the first time, just hello. With the new year upon us and the holidays behind us, on this episode of The Writer's Block, I wanted to do a bit of a Christmas book haul and talk about what I'll be reading in 2022. First up, continuing my second attempt to read The Wheel of Time, I'll be reading The Great Hunt and The Dragon Reborn at the very least this year. Thank you, Santa, for bringing me these. I'm taking a little bit of a break from reading The Wheel of Time right now. I feel a little bit of fatigue from the show and reading 2 books already at the end of last year. And there's so many other books that I'm excited to read, series that I want to complete and others that I want to start. So I guess that brings us to the next book that I got from Christmas, and that would be Promise of Blood by Mcclellan. I'm already about halfway through this book and I'm loving it. I just love this world and the tone, and all the characters have such an interesting rough edge to them, and there's multiple magic systems that all work together. If I were to compare it to anything, I'd say it's a little bit Sanderson-esque, but more so like Brent Weeks. Really enjoying this series. Got the next 2 books on order. When I'm finished with it, I plan on doing a review. Next Christmas book I got, The Fall of Babel by Josiah Bancroft. This is the 4th and final book in the Books of Babel series that I have been really enjoying. I did a review for Senlin Ascends, this book right here. I did a review for Senlin Ascends already. Then I quickly read the next 2 books in anticipation of this release. Book 2 and 3 in the series are very strong as well, just as strong as the first book, and I am about 75% of the way through this book. I'm excited to see how he's going to wrap things up in the last 25%. This is a series I wholeheartedly recommend to people. I think it's ingenious. I love Josiah Bancroft's writing. His prose are so great. His descriptions are so great and so clever. There's a very surreal quality to this book. I'm just enjoying it. This is a series I'm excited to reread. I can't give enough praise to this series. I hope more people read it. Next up, Dune Messiah. The first time I read Dune, I didn't love it. I could see why it was such a fundamental and important book for the science fiction genre, science fiction fantasy, right? But then when I saw that Denis Villeneuve was doing the film, I thought I should probably reread it before I watched the movie, and I reread it, and it really just connected with me the second time. I haven't done my review of the book. I just got busy, but I still want to. Just everybody talks about Dune, and what more can I add to the conversation, really, but other than just heap my praises upon it. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading Dune Messiah. I don't know if I'll get to the rest of the series this year or not. We'll see. I've got lots to read. Foundation, Isaac Asimov's Foundation. I read the first original novel, Foundation. This year I want to tackle Foundation and Empire and Second Foundation and finish up this trilogy. Finish up the original Foundation trilogy. I really liked Foundation, the book, not the show. The show was such a missed opportunity, but at least we still have the book. The book is better than the movie. The book is better than the show. 9 times out of 10, right? The show just made me so sad that I feel like it just totally missed the spirit of Asimov's original work and characters. Another book that I got recently that I've been wanting to read is Demons by Fyodor Dostoyevsky. I love Russian literature. I love Dostoyevsky. Crime and Punishment is one of the best books I've ever read. A friend who I recommended Crime and Punishment to went and read Demons, and he loved this book and recommended it to me, so I went and picked up a copy. I don't know if I'll review it for the channel. It's not science fiction fantasy per se. It's like a classic novel. I just don't know that there's a big appetite on YouTube for this type of book, but this is my channel, right? So maybe I will. A couple books that I don't have with me physically, but I do have electronic versions of that I'm going to be reading this year is I'm going to be reading some Brandon Sanderson. I'm going to be catching up on Era 2 of Mistborn. I love the original Mistborn trilogy. It's one of my favorite fantasy trilogies of all time. I love Stormlight Archive. Era 2 of Mistborn there's still a lot to enjoy and love about it. I don't know, it's just lighter, doesn't hit as hard for some reason. I can't really put my finger on as to why. I'll be rereading the series and doing reviews on them in anticipation of the 4th and final book of Era 2 Mistborn that'll be coming out at the end of this year. Also, I'll be reading Cytonic, kind of one of Sanderson's all-ages YA series. I enjoyed the first 2 books. I think Sanderson's best stuff is his Cosmere stuff. Sanderson kind of takes a break from like the really big epic fantasy stuff and writes something a little bit lighter in between. And it's still good. You know, it's still fun to read. He's a master of the craft. He really is. At the end of last year, I read The Hobbit to my daughter, who's 4 years old, and she just loved it. We would read a chapter every night before she went to bed. She loved this. She dressed up as Bilbo Baggins for Halloween. I was Gandalf, and my wife was the One Ring. She was the cutest little hobbit for Halloween. And she loved this book so much, and I was so proud of her. I think The Lord of the Rings is a bit of a step up for a 4-year-old. It's a different beast to tackle. I would really like to reread The Lord of the Rings this year. It's been a couple of years. Every few years, it's a good idea to reread The Lord of the Rings. But in order to satiate her appetite for fantasy, I got her and myself the Chronicles of Narnia box set in hardcover. It's not in publication order. It's in chronological order, which there's a lot of debate about how you should read it. It starts with book 1 as the magician's nephew, not The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and Prince Caspian is book 4. But yeah, we read, I guess, what is book 2 chronologically, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe with her at the end of last year. She loved this book. We got a paperback version from a thrift store for $1 that we read with her, and then we went out and got the whole set for Christmas, and we are currently reading Prince Caspian. She loves it as well. Throughout the year, we'll continue to read this series. C.S. Lewis is a great author for children. I enjoy the books. I have to translate quite a bit. You know, there's some phrases and words that we don't really use very much anymore, but it's a great bonding experience for me and my daughter. Yeah, I also got her Roald Dahl book set. Got for like $30 at Sam's Club. So, you know, Fantastic Mr. Fox, BFG, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So we'll be reading those as well. I don't know that those will make it onto my channel in terms of a review. But yeah, that's what I'm reading this year so far. And hopefully I can get around to posting reviews for all of these, or as many of them as I can. I would love to hear in the comments below what you're reading this year, you know, kind of based on what I've shown here. Is there something that I should be reading? I invite you to subscribe if you'd like to see reviews on some of these books. As always, thanks so much for watching, you guys. I hope to see you back here soon.